but I do, I worry that getting in there is going to be quite tough. You know, the Githian wall just to knock away a Kroll as he tries to get into the back lines can be quite tough to get through.
All right, let's hop onto the Halcyon Fold. Ladies and gentlemen, Cloud9 up against Team SoloMid. Should be an interesting game given how dominant Team SoloMid were in Game 1. This is C9's opportunity to make that comeback. If they lose, they're not out of the tournament. They do have a chance to play in the decider games later on, but I'm sure they want to just make their way easily into the semifinals rather than take that long road around. Interesting compositions coming out from both teams. I like the fact that we've got a Lyra for Cloud9. I think they can do a lot with it.
Oh, definitely. And the Lyra comboed up with the Kroll is actually a pretty strong composition. And I think you'll see Lost Boy, he'll probably spend a lot of time here in the early game just trying to harass Best Chuck in as much as possible.
Vainglory making a case for Samuel comparing to Lyra on that harassment, though. Something we've seen a lot in recent patches is that Lyra will just go up to lane, really threaten. Oh, Hardek, hang on a second. He's taking so much damage. Vainglory actually picks up the kill with Flash. Team SoloMid through the minion wave, still able to make it happen.
Absolutely nuts the amount of damage coming out of Samuel right now. At level 2, this power spike is something that you actually just want to completely avoid, I'd say right now. And Vainglory not even forced to use its boots right now, feeling really good about that.
Absolutely. Vainglory able to rotate back to his back camps as well, so he's getting even more gold right away after that. Flash X, sometimes getting that early kill gold onto a roamer can actually be very useful. You want to pick up those items like a fountain, which can be so big in team fights.
Oh, definitely. We'll see moving forward. I think Flash, he's the kind of player where he'll realize if you establish an early game advantage, you might not even have to force the fountain out too early.
Ah, that's true. There are other good options. We'll have to see what he decides to go for. Flash, very cerebral player. I'm sure he's going to work out something interesting to do here. Vainglory making his way back up towards the lane, thinking about going for that harassment again. This time, I would imagine Cloud9 will respect the aggression that Team SoloMid can put out.
Yeah, definitely. They want to avoid the poke coming out. I think your best option right now is baiting the Drifting Dark, waiting for it to go out, and then just fighting around the cooldowns.
All right, Best Chuck, he's doing some good damage onto the turret already. You see Hardek needed to make a very safe rotation around the long way. Joseph, hang on a second, get the wall, the root just connects! Flash sets up the kill for Vainglory yet again. You can't go near your bushes right now.
Oh, Joseph, he tried to hop on that surfboard and run away, but it's not enough when you're rooted in place. Just too much damage coming out.
You see Hardek and Lost Boy trying to make some kind of a counterplay onto Best Chuck, but they just don't have the ability to jump in like a Lance, like a Samuel. They don't have the damage yet. Vainglory and Flash X being much more impactful in their rotations.
Definitely, and Cloud9 might have almost drafted themselves into a corner here because you really, at this point, know that you want to play for the late game. But for some reason, they feel like they need to trade or they need to stop the aggression coming out of Team SoloMid. I think just make sure you're getting at least half your jungle and you're not dying. Make sure that Hardek is getting his decent farm out of the lane, and that's exactly what you need right now.
Yeah, I honestly think just hold Toph in the lane, but maybe not even in the mustache bush, just in the lane full stop. Don't try and peek anything, don't try and check anything, just let Hardek get some farm and let Joseph farm the jungle with maybe some scout traps to give him an early warning if Team SoloMid go for the invade.
Exactly. You cannot allow Kroll to get snowballed against right now. He'll be one of your most important tools moving forward. But I think Fuji alluded to it earlier in the analysis that when you have Kroll going up against a Kestrel, it's very telegraphed how a Kroll is going to move at you. And you can drop that active camo down and oftentimes go ahead and stun out this Kroll. He's going to have to be totally on point with his reflex blocks this game.
Yeah, Joseph definitely needs to be on point with that. Also, maybe just looking for some of those flank opportunities to come around from an angle that Chuck does not expect. Joseph has moved up into the mustache bush here. C9 starting to play a little bit more aggressively. Maybe searching for some kind of an opportunity here.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and just group up. They know that they don't want to get caught out. And I think the important thing is that Joseph just realizes, hey, I feel a little bit vulnerable right now, so I'm just going to rotate with team. I might be delayed in getting my gold just a little bit, but this is the safe play.
Also, Joseph kind of acting as a bodyguard, right? For Hardek, letting Hardek go shop is important. You can see he picked up a Void Battery, and I think that's crucial. He needs to be spamming his Helios in order to farm here. Getting in basic attack range is probably going to yield Flash going for a game.
Oh, definitely. You want to be fighting from range. And Hardek, he's just praying that he's able to get to this level 8, overdrive that Heliogenesis as fast as possible.
All right, Flash just picking up the fountain at around 5 minutes. A good timing on that. Vainglory making his way in here. Hardek does dodge the Impale, but look at the Malice and Verdict doing so much damage. A basic attack from Vainglory is going to finish up the kill. Hardek, he's gone down twice now. It's really hard for him to get farm in this position.
It's incredibly tough, and you know he doesn't activate the boots there. Best Chuck does running at him, but Best Chuck, he didn't even have to do that. Essentially, if Von C misses that skill shot, well, Best Chuck's there to clean it up. But Team SoloMid had it covered 2 different ways.
All right, Joseph making his way back up to the lane. He needs to soak some of this farm up just a little bit to stop Team SoloMid from getting too big a gold advantage. Only going to stay there long enough for Hardek to make his way back in. You can see that in terms of the gold advantage, Team SoloMid, even with only 3 kills, does have a significant one, around 2,500 gold in the lead of 5 minutes. Von C, we're talking about Samuel, right? New hero, only recently became available for competitive play. This is the kind of thing that practicing 10 hours a day for is going to give you a huge advantage on.
Oh, it definitely will, and I think it's a huge advantage for this team to be able to come together. Boot can't play that much time together, but it's not only him figuring out the power out of the Samuel, it's his teammates realizing exactly how they need to play around it as well.
It's a very good point. You definitely have to move with the Samuel so that he can stay in his Drifting Darkness, for example. You have to play around all of those things. Hardek just going to be farming the jungle right now. Can't even really contest lane farm.
Yeah, well, he knows it's such a dangerous position, and maybe thinking Joseph's not quite in position to get there, so he takes it, they'll get their jungle together and try to get out.
Joseph should be able to make his way back up towards the lane, but at this point, with the level disadvantage that C9 have, it's very hard to stop Flash X and the rest of Team SoloMid from just sieging down on the turrets.
Yeah, all they have to do is just bend, don't break right now. You know that you're going to take damage coming out of this Team SoloMid lineup. You just have to get yourself into the late game.
All right, Vonsi using that Drifting Dark. This is really the window which he has to do a lot of damage very quickly, but some nice return coming out of Hardek and the turret to stop him from committing too hard. You got to remember, every time you get Vonsi low, unless you're crowd controlling him too, his heroic perk is going to bring him back a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's really tough, and I mentioned before, you want to fight around the cooldown of the Drifting Dark, but there's really nothing that they can do to engage there. Like you said, the Corrupted Genius will come out, that's going to keep him in fighting shape, and Best Chuck and Flash are there to back him up as well, and I think you're almost going to have to force a fountain out of Flash before you even can start to commit to one of these fights, and that's going to be really tough to do.
A big difference that I want to take a look at, although Lost Boy does admittedly have 1.2k, is the items between the 2 roamers. Lost Boy has a... Okay, he's just spent it all. Never mind.
Oh, Lost Boy trolling out Jackson over here. My man.
Well, he needed to spend it soon. The point I was going to make is that if TSM picked a fight right there, it was a huge disparity. But I think Lost Boy was smart in realizing that. He did just decide to recall. This does give away the gold mine, but realistically, Cloud9 not going to contest that anymore.
Yeah, there's no way to move in there and contest that. And even if you attempted to, I just don't think it's the smart play. Team SoloMid realize this, that's their advantage. They're going to take it, move backwards, farm up this jungle, and continue to try to pressure this advantage. But the thing is like, yes, they have a lot of power in the early game, but they do actually scale pretty well into the late.
Yeah, they do indeed, and Hardek just picked up his first power spike, which is the Broken Myth. That's obviously going to be giving him a lot of damage in these fights, but he really needs a little bit more crystal on top of it to make it work, and he needs level 8. That's the bigger thing we need to look at here. We mentioned it earlier, but Hardek being level 6 right now to Vonsi's level 9, for example, is a huge disparity. The range differential is massive.
Oh, it's a massive range differential, exactly as you said it right there, and that's what Team SoloMid want to abuse. It's the regeneration coming out of Samuel and the poke from range right there, the root in place.
That is going to be a good core collapse, so stops Vonsi from committing too hard onto this, but Joseph doesn't want the fight in a big way. Doesn't throw out that from Hell's Heart just yet. Might be looking for Vonsi right now. Joseph does have a good flank position, but he waited so long that a flare is going to spawn them out, so no good opportunities there for Cloud9 to engage. They're playing patiently, which I like, but I actually do think that was their shot.
Well, I mean, they're not forcing it, and I think this is the smart play, Jackson. While it feels like they maybe need to make some play because they're behind right there, they did trade.
Oh, my
bit of damage there.
Hardek, he's going to have to leave. Goodbye, turret.
They were winning the trade in damage output right there, and like I said before, I think they actually do need to bait that fountain out before they engage into one of these fights.
All right, Best Chuck did get a little bit antsy there. Joseph was nearby, thought maybe that from Hell's Heart could come across. He's just going to active camo and back up. You can see massive farm differentials here as well. 103 to Best Chuck, 73 to Hardek. A 30 difference in around 10 minutes is huge.
It definitely is. You do not want to be in this position if you're Hardek, if you're playing on the Celeste, but you have to know, you picked this for a reason. You've practiced it. You know she gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on. He's about to hit his level 8, and this is maybe where we see the game start to turn around a little bit.
Breaking Point, great second item for Best Chuck. He just picked that one up. It does mean that in some of these more extended fights, once he gets the stacks up and hits the point at which you have enough weapon power to keep active camoing, he's going to be able to deal with Joseph so much better. And it's unfortunate for Joseph that he couldn't make an impact before that happened.
Oh, he definitely. I think I agree with you totally on that point. He wants to get in there, but that's just not the case. So he has to play for the late game. I think Joseph also picking up Shiver Steel is going to be a great utility item for him. If you can get onto the Samuel, slow him down, will allow Hardik to land those Helios, find that damage.
All right, Team SoloMid, they're going back to the Siege game here. Vauncey coming up from the sidelines with the Drifting Dark does get some great damage onto Hardik, chunking him out to half, nearly taking him down all the way. If Bastion could land that one shot, could have been a bad situation for Cloud9. That said, they're still losing so much of their turret's health right now. Chuck has a lot of damage, and he's able to put it down.
Yeah, Lost Boy is almost doing as much damage as his cores right now. And that's going to change over the next couple of minutes. You see Eve of Harvest completed for Hardik. In a lot of games, the majority of games, I would say, this is the point where Celeste can almost start to stand her ground. But I think you're just in too much of a deficit right now where you actually still need to play cautious.
Yeah, especially with the number of kills that's going across. And we are going to have a quick pause. Hopefully someone will let us know what happened there. But it does give us some more time to break this game down. Frequently with Celeste, around 15 minutes is that point, right, where you've got all the items you need. And when the opponents only have 3 kills, you expect to kind of hit that point. But Team SoloMid has used those 3 kills to take over so much of the map. All of the farm going to them means that Celeste hasn't even been able to just sit in the lane and maybe leech a little bit.
I mean, there were points where actually Lost Boy was forced into the lane and Hardik had to move down just because it was too dangerous for him to even attempt to farm. So I think the idea was, well, we'll let Lost Boy try to farm. Maybe he gets some of it, but if he gets killed, it's better than our Celeste going down. So you have Celeste, Kroll splitting the jungle up right now. It's not working for them. And I think TSM definitely in control here.
So Kroll in the late game is another thing that I want to talk about. Joseph has picked it up this game. He hasn't really fallen super far behind, but it takes Kroll so long to get damage as well as utility. At what point do you think he's going to start making an impact?
It's got to be within the next 5 minutes. If it's much later than that, I think he's essentially useless for the team. Now, I'm not saying that Joseph is a useless member of the team. He's incredible. He's a playmaker. But right here, TSM has done such a good job of just completely shutting him down that it's so hard to make these plays. It's going to take an incredible From Hell's Heart, the element of surprise, and coordinating with your team. So it's all these factors have to fall into place for them to start winning fights.
And what would you like to see the priority as for Team SoloMid right now? Do you think they should just commit to sieging a lot and trying to make these plays with the one-shots plus the Malice and Verdict? Or should they maybe focus on just bleeding them out, right? Like just straight up playing around the minions and stopping any farm from going on to C9?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both, honestly. You committing to one of these strategies over the other, you could actually exploit the weakness maybe a little bit more. If you realize they're choking me out, well, maybe I'm going to slip past you and take your jungle somehow. Otherwise, I think it's best of them just to take objectives. You hang in there, you're going to do a little bit of poke, continue to siege on these turrets, and it's just going to make it that much harder for them to defend or contest the Kraken, right? Because if you go out into a position where they're already winning team fights, you could send someone right past them, just continue to push. So that's where TSM are at.
All right, looks like the pause has been lifted. We're back onto the Halcyon Fold for Team SoloMid up against Cloud9. This is game 2. Team SoloMid are 1 game in the lead right now and very in the lead in this game. There's a few more items coming out here. Flash X, he's got a Shiver Steel now.
Flash, he's copying that Shiver Steel coming out of Kroll. He's like, you can buy one, I can buy one too.
And actually, he went for the War Treads Shiver Steel Fountain and hasn't picked up a Crucible yet. Do you think that that's the right decision here? Do you think it makes sense?
Yeah, I don't think he really needs to pick up the Crucible against this team right now. Positioning, we talk about it so much, especially when you're talking about Samuel, and that is definitely going to be an immense tool for them.
All right, Team SoloMid do catch out Hardik and Lost Boy right now. Hardik needs to get out of here, but he's taking so much damage, nowhere for him to run. Team SoloMid find their 4th kill of the game. Joseph just wasn't in a position to even think about helping.
No, he wasn't, and it's just such a hard place to be in. I think Hardik, the worst part about that is he could only run at his base. And Team SoloMid, they have abilities that shine when someone's moving in a predictable manner. So essentially, he really couldn't go anywhere.
All right, Joseph thinking about harassing Chuck down a little bit, but he might have put himself at a disadvantage here. Look at the damage, Vauncey trying to find the kill. That's going to be the From Hell's Heart, but the turret's already gone down. Supernova doing some good work on the back line. Hardik not going to be looking about that Solar Storm, though. Doesn't have it on cooldown to make something happen there.
Man, that was the first real movement we saw out of Joseph to try and attempt to get in the back lines, and it was when they were actually 2 versus 3. And I think the positioning on the map, being next to the turret, it does make a little bit of sense, but man, that was dangerous.
Yeah, I like the attempt. I think Cloud9 do feel under pressure right now. They do need to do something. helped Team SoloMid have starved out a lot of the money, but Cloud9 picking up one of those back camps for the first time in what feels like forever, Humanist.
Yeah, definitely agree with you, Jackson. I just had my eyes on levels here, and you just see Cloud9 totally behind. Level 9 on Lost Boy and Hardek, 10 on Joseph, but across the board, Flash is at 10, Best Chuck's at 10, and Fonzie already at 12 and abusing that power.
At least Hardek has the overdrive on Helio now, so he's going to be able to maybe threaten the backline of TSM from a safer distance. The problem is Vonsi, if he has Drifting Dark Up's just going to pop it and start going ham.
Definitely, and Team SoloMid, they don't have to actually move forward. If the Helios are down in a good place that's going to force them into a bad position, they can just wait for those to time out, back up, regroup, and go again.
Speaking of which, you can see Cloud9 starting to lay down a bit of a field of stars that they can fight around if Team SoloMid try to engage. Team SoloMid, it's hard for them to do much more right now unless Cloud9 make a positional error. They don't have safe turrets to fight around. They have to go all the way into the base of Cloud9 if they want to get any more, and Kraken isn't up for another minute. They're just buying time.
Yeah, that's essentially all they're going to do right now. You don't want to force a fight. You've built this massive advantage. There's no reason to even get into a dangerous position where it could potentially be thrown away. I think Team SoloMid will be happy to take a fight on their terms right now, but as you said, they're probably just waiting for Kraken, biding their time, and they'll look to push off that.
All right, Joseph did just pick up a breaking point, so he might finally have some good damage in these fights. Maybe this is what he needs to feel comfortable about going in. We'll have to see if he starts being a little bit more aggressive as Team SoloMid inches their way up towards Cloud9's base. Only 30 seconds till Kraken spawns, Humanist.
I worry about that item choice, though, and Breaking Point a lot of times will work for you, but if your Breaking Point is stacking up, Kestrel's is as well, and I don't know if this is the right choice for him right now.
What would you have preferred to see?
Well, I know that he went into Shiver Steel, and he built defensively early, but I think if you're going to get your item, it was going to be your Sorrow Blade, probably going to be the biggest impact. Other than that, just build straight utility. Let your Celeste do the damage. She is capable of it.
And with the Eve of Harvest now, with the Broken Myth, it is certainly a better position. Soulstorm coming across a little bit too early. I think about stealing that gold mine. Does get collected. You know, if the Soulstorm had to come out there, that payout wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, that was a tough call right there. You know, you try to do your best in these situations. It could have been a legendary play, but it backfires a little bit.
All right, C9 inching up towards the lane. They know they need to get some farm, but now Hardek is miles out of position. Drifting Dark coming across. Vonsi not in range to get the Malice Verdict down, but he's going to swap target. He wants Lost Boy top. Fountain comes out too late. Joseph's on the back line, but Hardek is too far away to lay down the Helios, and now he just needs to run. It would take an absolute miracle for Hardek to be able to do anything there. Ace for Team SoloMid at 15 minutes. Easy Kraken.
Absolutely, and we're going to see this play broken down once more here. And you see, it's just TSM realizing the poor positioning out of Cloud9. They're taking advantage of it. Drifting Dark moves forward. Vonsi isolates Lost Boy, takes him down. Joseph's trying to get weakness stacks onto both Flash and Vonsi, not able to take advantage of that. And once you get onto that Celeste, she is just absolutely butter.
All right, look at this. Even just the Ace buff minions able to take down one of Cloud9's base turrets. Not a good situation to be in. Kraken should fall as well with Vonsi and Flash X picking that one up. Team SoloMid have not died a single time yet this game. It's so hard for Cloud9 to defend here.
My goodness. You know, I knew Team SoloMid coming into this tournament, they were in a really good place, but when you see them performing up against another top team like Cloud9, putting on this kind of show, it really speaks to their dominance in the scene right now.
Flash X looking for that Impale, but just going to be the joke poke. Not committing fully there. One shot, one kill coming out. Vonsi does get stunned. Stunned again with the core collapse. That's a lot of AoE damage to Vonsi. Might actually go down this time. He finally does. Chuck is on the back line, but a fountain popped by top. Joseph wants Chuck right now. He reflex blocks the active camo. Cloud9, they can defend here. Joseph is so low though. Flash trying to help up Chuck, but Hardek finds the kill. He's looking for Flash too. He's going to pick it up. This is going to be the return.
Cloud9 are doing it!
They've just got to clear up this Kraken, and then maybe, finally, they can take some presence on the map.
Cloud9 clawing their way back into the game right here. Had 0 kills, now they have 3. Collect that ace. They're going to get the money off of this Kraken. And sure, the base is burning right now, but Cloud9 still hanging on by a thread.
Oh man, this is one of those situations you just do not want to be in, especially against someone like a Lance who can roll over the wall, start threatening your base if you were, for example, in a 2 versus 2 situation or something like that. Oh boy. Cloud9, how do they make use of this?
I mean, they have to do exactly what they did there. You saw that when they engaged, there really wasn't any hesitation. I think they were almost forced into that by the Kraken being taken. And essentially, that's how they need to approach these fights moving forward. If you can lock onto Von C, burst this damage down, you're going to win the fights.
You see Lost Boy Toph moved way up ahead of his teammates there just to get some scout traps down. Finally, we see some from Cloud9 past just their base entrance. This is something which is going to give them some information. Where's TSM trying to catch us out? How can we maybe play around that? Get a core collapse down before they see us. Cloud9, they've been given just this slightest glimpse of hope.
There is hope, Cloud9 fans, but right here could be a deciding fight.
All right, Flash X moving up a little bit, looking for the Impale, doesn't find it though. Core collapse, not gonna land either. Vonsi has that Drifting Dart, but Joseph lands from Hell's Heart. Hardek gets stunned into the wall. Joseph is solo on the front line. I don't know if Hardek can follow up right now. He has so much damage, but Hardek is maybe gonna be going down here. Oblivion following him out. That's a reflex
nice
block just to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but Drifting Dart from Vonsi gets the damage down. This is gonna be all she wrote for Cloud9. Team SoloMid in 2-0 fashion take down our 5th seed of the tournament.
My goodness, what a performance out of TSM right here. You're facing up against one of the toughest competitors in this tournament, and just absolutely textbook dominance coming out of this team right here.
Man, throughout that entire game, it felt like Cloud9 were so on the back foot. They finally won that fight, and actually, the fight right before the end of that game, I thought maybe they could win too if Hardek didn't get stunned up in